What's up guys, Larry Chen here. We are in Nevada still. We are on a dry lake bed. My buddy Faruk is here with his beautiful SEMA build. SEMA 2021. We got a Honda powered E30 M3 and there's something really special about this one. This one is going to be a one of a kind, right?
Thank you.
Yeah, I've known Faruk for many years. I don't even know how many years, what, 12, 13 years, something like that.
Yep.
And he was actually one of the first people ever to hire me, to actually pay me for my photos for editorial use. So I appreciate that so much. But you're a driver, you're a Formula Drift driver, you're a father. You do a lot of amazing things. You were on Hyperdrive, right?
Yep.
Netflix star over here. But you're also a builder. So tell us a little bit about this. How did this come about?
So when we were talking about what to do for SEMA this year, I was talking to Ineos, and I love German cars. I tend to put Japanese motors in them. And we wanted to bring that kind of Japanese racing heritage that Ineos has to some of my passion of BMWs. And so we came up with this concept of putting a Honda motor into an E30.
It's kind of funny because traditionally, right, so you've had Japanese cars, right? But what you're known for is your E92,
Yep.
right? Which, it's funny, it has an inline six 2J.
Yeah, it had one.
It had one. But because this is a smaller vehicle,
Yep.
you lost 2 cylinders.
I did,
right?
yeah.
So now, what is it powered by?
So originally we wanted to put a K20 in it, right? But our goal is to make this a street car. So we put an F20 into it, which is an S2000 motor. It's the earlier S2000 motor, which is revs to 9 grand. It's also cable driven rather than fly by wire, which makes it easier for the whole car process. And it fits in the engine bay really well. So.
Okay, so yeah, I'll stop you right there. That's the special thing about it, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people do motor swaps, but they don't think about the legality of it. Mm-hmm. You're actually going to take that extra step to make this 100% California compliant, correct?
Exactly. Yeah, I have enough track cars. Would love something to drive down the coast or drive to a track day and just really enjoy. Where race cars are more of like a dessert, you know what I mean? And this, I'd love to just kind of be my lunch and just really enjoy it.
So tell us a little bit about the process and then we'll get into the build.
Sure. So one of the main things, I love old E30 M3s. I grew up with just looking at them and loving what they did in racing. And so I wanted to bring an aspect of the E30 M3 into this build. Along with creating a wide body, we kind of looked at different things on the market of what tips its hat to the Japanese heritage. And I found out that Pandem actually updated their kit. So they updated their kit with a new front lip and new front fenders, which is a bit more, M3-esque, you could say. And so that's kind of where the inspiration came for the look of the car, where it's that mix between the old DTM cars and then also a bit of Japanese styling.
So a lot of people are probably gonna hate you and hate me for featuring this thing, but does this improve on the motor that comes with the E30 M3?
Improve is a hard word, right? So the S14 motor was brilliant, right? And although they're kind of unobtainium now, like a decent M3 now is 50 grand, 60 grand. That's not really an attainable stock car for people that are enthusiasts, you know what I mean? And when you have something that's fully built for around that price, it makes a little bit more sense. Like this is track ready essentially.
So because part of it is if you actually cut up a real E30 M3 like this,
that would be ridiculous.
Then people would really hate you.
Right? Yeah. I would hate myself. One day maybe own a E30 M3 and just drive it. But when you're building something custom, I think it's nice to this started with a 318 that was kind of left for dead. It hasn't run in 5 to 10 years. We found there's a guy up north that races about a bunch of spec E30s, and he had the shell, and it's an early 318, so it's an 85. And the reason we picked that was because the taillights are the same as the M3s. So the M3s, even though they came in like 88 and 89, they actually had the earlier taillights on them. So when we're doing the whole back-end conversion, it made a lot more sense to go that direction.
Honda inside.
Right?
There you go. So tell us a little bit about what you actually have to do to make this carb legal.
Sure. So first off, everything that comes stock on the S2000, we have to install onto this car. So catalytic converter, a lot of the evap is not done yet. We're still working on it. So first we're just getting it ready, testing it on track, and then from there we'll go into all the carb stuff. It's an arduous process, yeah.
And this is okay because it's also carb legal.
It is,
right?
yeah. So that's something to be pointed out. That's the stock S2000 AEM intake, right? And we actually are missing the bottom half of it right there. Somebody might notice that the filter is right next to the exhaust. Long story short, the other half of that will go forward, but we finished this car on Saturday before SEMA. Finished is in quotation marks. So we have to get to that once we get back to the shop.
Yeah, well, when you actually get it running, we're definitely going to check it out and maybe go for a ride with you on
hopefully
track.
drive it.
Yeah, hopefully drive it. What are you actually going to use this for?
Just track days, driving, like with my partner, and then just being able to go out on a weekend and drive something fun. The race cars are great, but I don't really have a street car. I built my S13 to be a street car, but that's still in the process of getting carb legalized as well. So this is more of a tame kind of fun track / street car.
Tell us a little bit about the suspension here.
Sure. So the KW V3s, we have some ground control top hats on them right now. We're going to probably switch to the KW top hats eventually. But for now, we have KW V3s. All the bushings in the car are done by Garagistic. So solid engine mounts and transmission mounts from Garagistic. It utilizes the M20 engine mounts, and the rest of it's all Delrin. And then we have the serrated camber and toe adjusters in the rear. And so it's pretty much all done. Anything you can do to the E30 is pretty much done to this.
It's so clean. The swap itself is very clean. I love what you've done here.
Yep.
It just makes it super easier just to unplug the wiring harness.
Yeah, Romy from Rhino Wire in Florida actually flew out, wired the car. He measured everything, kind of took all the lengths and got everything plugged in, flew back to Florida, then sent us the harness 2 days later. And he's, knows that we have to be carb legalized and all that stuff. He's going to make everything work with the EVAP and everything like that. It's just a process.
Tell me about the transmission, stock S2000 transmission then.
Stock S2000 transmission, and you'll notice that there's a bit of space between the firewall and the engine. And we'd like to get the motor farther back. F20s have a cast oil pickup onto the oil pump. It's a little bit tricky to get that closer to the oil pump, and once we do that, we might be able to move the motor farther back, but for now we're kind of limited where the oil pickup is compared to where the rack of the car is. They're Rotiform IGSs, and the reason we picked these is it's kind of a tip of the hat to the old DTM wheels, and they're 17 by 9.5 up front.
Was there ever a BMW with this sort of style wheel?
On the old DTM cars, they had those old, I think they were like OZs or something like that. They were white, and they had a very similar face to this, but of course it didn't have the dish that the Rotiforms do. So
yeah. So one thing that was really interesting when I was just photographing this just a couple minutes ago was that the sun would hit the lip and it would actually create like this cool design.
Like a sun ring.
Yeah.
Yep.
That I've never actually seen anything like that before. So I was super excited to see that. So how much wider is this than stock?
70 mil in the back and I think 50 in the front, as if I'm remembering right. Rocket Bunny provides the specs for the wheels that they recommend, and we kind of order the wheels based on that. So this whole back end kind of starts at the roof and moves back. So the roof, the C-pillar, the trunk, the wing, that was all sourced through CA Tune in California. Igor there's the E30 guru. And it's not carbon fiber over fiberglass, it's actually just a piece of carbon fiber that we bonded to the car. And then from there, once we bonded it on, we welded this metal C-pillar from E30 Garage Norway. They copied the metal from the E30 M3s, and then we welded it on the sides and on the back, and then this is an E30 M3 rear glass. It's an OEM E30 M3 trunk, and then it's an Evo 2 wing. But the reason that the gurney flap is so huge is we actually mismounted it. For the show, I used one mounting hole rather than two. When you use two, it goes down a little farther, but for the show, we put one in.
It actually kind of looks cool, honestly.
Yeah.
So this is all for weight savings or just because?
I can't stand sunroofs on track cars. I think it's just ridiculous to have a sunroof on a track car. So when looking into ways to get a solid roof, carbon was really the only option out there, and that's what we did. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so super minimalistic here. Yep. Tell me about this dash. It's really nice.
Yeah, the dash is a fiberglass dash, and Landmark Graphics wrapped it with this unique material that makes it kind of look OEM. We were surprised how well it turned out, and they did a phenomenal job. I use Momo stuff in all my cars, so Momo steering wheel, Momo shift knob, and some Momo seats, and it kind of comes together really nicely.
Yeah, fits really nice. Everything is so simple. Like it's amazing to me also that the S2000 transmission brought it to this point, right?
Yeah, so it's funny. So if you reach here, you can see that we actually have to make like a little L here. It's hidden by the shift boot. And huge shout out to my fiance and her friend Lauren, who made the shift boot for me in the last week just to make it all work.
Huh.
Yeah, they sewed that up.
Yeah, it's very clean switch panel.
Yep.
All of it is right there. So you're not going to have radio, AC, or anything like that. It's
No.
all just going to be a simple driver's car.
I mean, there's other motors that we could have put in it. You know, I'm a big 2J guy. We could have made it 500-600 horsepower. That's easy, right? But to have a motor that really sings and kind of tips the hat to what an M3 would have been back in the day, I think, you know, hearing a Honda motor scream at 9,000 RPM should be pretty fun.
So, and this is all the stock ECU, stock stuff that you essentially mounted here.
Yep.
Right? Just to make it all neat and work perfectly.
Exactly. So the 35-year-old wiring that was in this car, we just stripped the whole wiring out of the car. And Romy from Rhino Wire, everything's Tefcell now, just motorsports grade wiring, and it's just new. You know what I mean? So it's actually like a new car. Like you said, it's just the stock ECU, and everything else just runs on.
Everything in the back is really clean too.
Yeah.
The cage is tucked really nicely. All of this finish is really nice. I mean, because realistically, it's not very usable in the back there anyways,
Yeah.
right?
So if you notice the box behind the seat, you want to guess what that's for?
Is that for the battery?
That's for the gas tank. The S2000 fuel pump is taller than the E30 gas tank. So we actually had to raise the gas tank to make the fuel pump fit. So we have the evap and the fuel pump.
So, because that is part of the emissions system, right? That
Makes it a lot easier.
You can't actually use E30 gas tank then?
So it's an E30 gas tank. We cut the top off the S2000 gas tank and welded it to it.
Got it,
Yeah.
got it.
Yeah.
So
It makes it a lot easier.
That way it keeps all of everything.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The evap, the fuel pump, everything is just, it uses the stock plug. It's a lot simpler.
So then when you go to Pep Boys and then they ask you what year car.
Yeah, I say
or
2000, right? Yeah.
You're like,
Yeah, exactly.
It's an S2000, and they look outside and they see this cool thing.
Yeah, exactly.
That is super cool. Well, thank you so much for bringing this out here. I know, it was SEMA crunch time. You weren't able to get it to run, but like you said, just 1 week, maybe it would have been able to.
It has everything to fire right now. Honestly, with the rush and how tired we were like, let's just do it after SEMA. We'll push it in, push it out, and then we'll get it running when we get back to the shop.
Yeah, what a lot of people don't understand about SEMA this year especially was how hard it was really to get anything, right? It was impossible.
Yeah.
It was impossible to get parts, and it was also really hard to get just help in general. Even tires.
Yep.
Tires are out everywhere.
Yep.
All the best sizes are just taken up because everybody's, building their project cars. So with that said, unfortunately, couldn't get it running for SEMA, but it is, at least it's here. That's the important part. I'm just so excited to be able to photograph it, and it's so pretty.
Thank you.
I love the livery so much.
Thank you, man. Yeah.
And of course the wide body is amazing. Look at the fitment. This fitment is crazy.
Yeah, it's a little bit almost too good. We got to work on that when we get back.
It's so good.
Yeah. It's good for this. Yeah. When we get back on track, we have to adjust that a little bit.
Well, thank you guys for watching. See you guys in the next episode. We got a lot of good SEMA content coming your way.